I wake up to the amalgamation of the echoing ringing of bullets and deafening explosions in the dry, starving air. I haven't showered in months, and I haven't eaten properly in days. I feel my body getting weaker by the stroke of time as I'm engulfed in hunger, despair, and sorrow. I have mourned the losses of all my beloved ones, and I have teared away all the hope that I had for a better future. I know my only aspiration is to live and survive, but why do I already feel dead? I have forgotten how it felt like to play out in the open sun in the scorching heat until my body gave in to fatigue. I have forgotten how it felt like to sit at the dinner table as I dine with my mother and father, and as we laugh away until our eyes brimmed with tears of mirth. I have forgotten how it felt to truly be happy. I have forgotten how it felt to smile. To many children in Yemen, this is the reality that they have to go through. And I know sometimes it is a little difficult for us to be able to sympathize and relate with such a distant group of people that is going through such a turbulent time in their life. So maybe I'll give my example and how I dealt with discrimination in my life and take you guys through that journey and the success that I reaped after. Oftentimes, I was the only black student in my class. And since a majority of the friends that surrounded me were Asian or more specifically Indian, they often used their language when they were communicating, even when they were around me. Other than the fact that I did feel ostracized, there was a word that quite puzzled me. Now, I did hear from a few of my friends outside class that if you ever hear the word gola, it's a word meant to discriminate you because of the color of your skin. So one day, amidst a conversation between my friends and I, when we were talking, I heard that word the first time. And then I heard it the second. I tried to ignore it until I heard it the third. So I asked my friends, what does this mean? And they simply replied with, oh, it doesn't mean anything, it just means friend or person. But it was until years later is when I realized that that word, when more and more people came to me and told me that it's a derogatory term used to discriminate you because of the color of your skin, used to discriminate the black people here in Tanzania. Now, when I found out, my natural instinct was to shut off from people. I mean, it was very overwhelming. After all, I'm the only black kid in class. I mean, what can I do anyway? But before I decided to make any external change, I thought maybe the first thing that I need to do is work on myself. So I'm going to take you guys on a journey of how I started basketball and how that completely changed my life. So I thought maybe I should engage myself in an activity that would actually give my life value. So I joined the basketball team. And the trainings, yes, were difficult. They were tiring. They were very gruesome. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into it. But I could feel myself getting better. And I knew I was improving. So this is when our school decided to, let our team take part in the junior NBA competition. As we progressed in this competition, I knew that our team was playing well. We were playing good. We were winning matches. But when it reached the semifinals, we lost and got knocked out of the competition. Now, obviously, the world came crashing down on me. It felt like all those hours, all those days, all those months, all that hard work went down the drain. It all felt like a waste of time. But during this low point in my life is when an epiphany hit me. Because for the very first time in my life, I actually worked hard towards something. I know the outcome wasn't what I expected. I know the outcome, wasn't what I wanted, but I still knew that we went very, very far, and we were able to achieve something. So from that point onwards, I decided that I need to put that same work ethic into everything that I do in my life. So from then on, my motto was to always try. But not only try, but give it all I can every time I did. So then I decided to put the same work ethic in my school grades. Mind you, I was that kid who sat at the very back of the class, slept through every lesson, failed every test, numerous zeros. That was me. But that same kid who sat at the back of the class ended up being the valedictorian of his grade. So I decided to put this work ethic into music. That same kid at the back of the class is now a self-taught pianist and a singer and is part of a band. So then I decided to put this work ethic into debating. That same kid ended up in the national team. And then I decided to put this work ethic into public speaking. And that same kid at the very back of the class is now giving a TED talk, eh? Pretty good story. At this point in my life is when I realized that I can do anything if I just put my mind to it. Is when I actually decided and started to believe in myself. And this was when I took pride in my beautiful mahogany color. Is when I took pride in my nappy hair, you know, that defies gravity. Is when I took pride in my skin that can absorb rays. This was when I truly learned to love myself. This was also when I realized that before you can learn to love others, you must first learn to love yourself. Before we learn to build bridges between us and those that are around us, we should first build the bridge that is within ourselves. So now that we've been able to establish this first inner bridge, and the most important one in my opinion, how are we able to radiate this love that we have into the society that is around us? How are we able to use the same energy and love into helping those that are in need? Oftentimes when we think about ways to help people, we look at different things like giving donations, visiting orphanages, fundraisers. Yes, all of this is very good. But then we still see that there's a gaping divide between the higher socioeconomic class and the lower one. We still see that there's a gaping divide between the rich and the poor. We still see that there's a gaping divide between the white and the black. Well, in my opinion, a way to solve this is for us to be able to lower ourselves. The problem is we do not communicate, we do not converse, we do not work with each other at eye level. Only when we're able to see eye to eye, independent of race, color, gender, is when we will be able to achieve true love within us all. Now, a practical way to view this is something or a rule that I actually made for myself. I call it the burden of responsibility. What it basically means is that for everything that you have, you must feel a sense of responsibility to work towards that thing in order to help those that are around you. If you have power, if you have money, use it to help those that are in need. If you have a voice and a following, use it to sound out the opinions of those that are being oppressed. If you have a good smile, smile, because you know, a smile can go a long way still. It doesn't really matter. So even when you feel like you have nothing to give and nothing to offer, look at yourself, because there's always things that are in us that we should be grateful for, and there's always things that we have that we can give to the community. As people, we should never be okay with the fact that we can just joyously walk through our neighborhoods when we know that a black man in the United States cannot do the same thing without risking his life. We cannot joyously feast onto our food while we know that a kid in Yemen is being tortured by starvation as we sit and do nothing. We need to change. Now, in the very beginning, I did mention and I did talk about the children in Yemen. And I did mention the fact that it is very difficult for us because we think that this is such a distant group of people. These are people that we may never get to see in our lifetime. But the first thing that we need to do is love. So when we say love for yourself, what you love for others, it means that very same love that you have for yourself, that very same love that you've been able to establish in the very beginning by being comfortable under your own skin, you should reflect that onto those that are around you. Ultimately, as people, as human beings, our goal should not only be to build a connection between us and those that are directly around us, but rather build a connection between us and those we shall never see. Thank you.